At most schools are set up today, learning is compulsory. It is an out, even worst, a must, enforced by regular hours and rigid discipline. And the most young sneer at the outs and resist the most with all their energy. The feeling often lasts thought a lifetime. For too many of us, learning appears to be a surrender of our own will to external direction, a sort of enslavement. This is a mistake. Learning is a natural pleasure, inborn and instinctive, one of the essential pleasures of the human race. Watch a small child at an age too young to have had any mental habits implanted by training. Some delightful films made by the late Dr. Arnold Giselle of Yale University show little creators who can barely talk investigating problem with all the zeal and excitement of explorers, making discoveries with the patience and absorption of dedication scientists. At the end of each successful investigation, there come over each tiny face an expression of pure, heartful pleasure when achievement discovered the principle of specific gravity. By observing his own displacement of water in a bathtub, he leaped out with delight, shouting, Eureka! Eureka! I have found it! I have found it! The instinct which promoted his outburst and the rapture of his gratification are possessed by all children. But if the pleasure of learning is universal, why are there so many dull, incurious people in the world? It is because they were made dull by bad teaching, by isolation, by surrender to rote, sometimes too by the pressure of hard work and poverty, or by the toxin of riches, with all their ephemeral and tribal delights, with luck, desolations, and guidance. However, the human mind can survive not only poverty but even wealth. This pleasure is not confined to learning from textbooks, which are too often tedious, but it does include learning from books. Sometimes, when I stand in a big library like the Library of Congress or Butler Library at Columbia and gaze round me at the millions of books, I feel a sober, earnest delight hard to convey except by a metaphor. These are not lumps of lifeless paper, but mind alive on the shelves. From each of them goes out its own voice, as inaudible as the streams of sound conveyed by electric waves beyond the range of our hearing, and just as the touch of a button on our stereo will fill the room with music. So, by opening one of these volumes, one can call into range a voice far distant in time and space, and hear it speaking mind to mind, heart to heart, but far beyond books. Learning means keeping the mind open and active to receive all kinds of experience. One of the best informed man I ever knew was a cowboy who rarely read a newspaper and never a book, but who had ridden many thousands of miles through one of the western states. He knew his state as thoroughly as a surgeon knows the human body. He loved it and understood it. Not a mountain, not a canyon which had not much to tell him, not a change in the weather that he could not interpret. And so among the pleasure of learning we should include travel. Travel with an open mind, an alert eye, and a wish to understand other peoples and places rather than looking in them for a mirror image of oneself. If I were a young man today, I should resolve to see, no, to learn, are the 50 states before I was 35. Learning also means learning to practice, or at least to appreciate an art. Every new art you learn appears like a new window on the universe. It is like acquiring a new sense. Because I was born and brought up in Glasgow, Scotland, a hideous 19th century industrial city, I did not understand the slightest thing about architecture until I was in my 20s. Since then, I have learned a little about the art, and it has been a constant delight in my mind. I have a permanent album containing bright pictures of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, the little church of St. John Nepomuc in Munich, the exquisite Acropolis of Lindos standing high above the shining Rhodian Sea. Craft too are well worth exploring. A friend of mine took up bookbinding because his doctor ordered him to do something that would give him relaxation and activity without tension. It was a difficult challenge at first, but he gradually learned to square off paper and the boards, sew the pages, fasten on the back strip, and maintain precision and neatness. Thought out within a few years, his initially rather dull hobby had led him into fresh field of enjoyment. He began to collect fine books from the past 5 centuries. He developed an interest in printing. Eventually, he started a private press and had the joy of producing his own elegant books. Many other crafts there are, and most of them contain one essential pleasure, the pleasure of making something that will last. As for reading books, these contain two different delights. One is the pleasure of apprehending the unexpected, as such as when one meets a new author who has a new vision of the world. The other pleasure is of deepening one's knowledge of a special field. One might enjoy reading about the Civil War and then be drawn to a particularly moving part of it, the Underground Railway, say, which carried escaping slaves northward to freedom. One would then be impelled to visit the chief way stations along the road, reconstructing the lives of these resolute organizers and thankful fugitives. Tradition says that Ptolemy, that great astronomer of the Greek and Roman world, worked peacefully in his observatory under the clear skies of northern Egypt for 14 years. Many and great were his explorations of the starry universe. For instance, he described astronomical refraction in a way that was not improved for over 100 years. Ptolemy wrote just one poem, and it expressed his whole life. Mortal, I know I am short-lived, and yet whenever I watch the multitude of shivering stars, then I no longer tread this earth, but rise to feast with God and enjoy the food of the immortals. Learning extends our life, as Ptolemy said, into new dimensions. It is cumulative. Instead of diminishing in time, like health and strength, its return go on increasing, provided that you aim throughout your life, as you continue learning, to integrate your thought, to make it harmonious. If you happen to be an engineer and also enjoy singing in a glee club, connect these two activities. They unite in you. They are not in conflict. Both choral singing and engineering are examples of the architectonic ability of man, of his power to make a large plan and to convey it clearly to others. Both are aesthetic and depend much on symmetry. Think about them not as thought they were dissociated, but as thought each were one aspect of a single unity. You will do them better and be happier. This is hard advice to give to young students. They are explosive, exploratory, and inherently instead of integrating their lives, they would rather seek outward and even try to move in opposite direction simultaneously. Much unhappiness has been suffered by these people who have never recognized that it is as necessary to make themselves into whole and harmonious personalities as to keep themselves clean, healthy, and financially solvent. Wholeness of the mind and spirit is not a quality conferred by nature nor by God. It is like health, virtue, and knowledge. Man has the capacity to attain it, but to achieve it depends on his own effort. It needs a long, deliberate effort of the mind and the emotion and even the body. During our earthly life, the body gradually dies, even the emotion become duller, but the mind in most of us content to live and even grows more lively and active, enjoy itself more, works and plays with more expansion and delight. Many people have played themselves to death or eaten and drunk themselves to death. Nobody has ever thought himself to death. The chief danger confronting us is not age, it is laziness, sloth, routine, stupidity, forcing their way in like wind through the shutters, seeping into the cellar like swamp water. Many who avoid learning or abandon it find that life is drained dry. They spend 30 years in a club chair looking glumly out at the sand and the ocean on a porch swing, waiting for somebody to drive down the road. But that is not how to live. To learner has ever run short of subject to explore. The pleasure of learning are indeed pleasures. In fact, the world should be changed. The true name is happiness. You can live longest and best and most rewardingly by attaining the preserving the happiness of learning. Thank you for today. I hope you like the video and subscribe our channel for watching more video. Thank you once again if you have subscribed and like our video.